If you're after the perfect looking dual tower for your NR200, this just might be it. And it's also from the same folks that brought us the NR200. Welcome to Machines and More. So you got white for your white NR200, or hey, white works with your black NR200 as well. And you know, there are some 120mm fan equipped dual towers that fit within the confines of the NR200. You have the Scythe Fuma that we looked at very early on in the life cycle of the case. If you're using the glass panel with the NR200P version, then you do have to go a bit lower with something like the Noctua D12L. Both of these are good choices. This one here is a new cooler from Cooler Master in their Hyper family. This is called the Hyper 622 Halo, and that Halo designates that these come with their Master Fan Halo 120mm fans. These are good looking fans. They've got a unique shape. They have circular ARGB lighting that follows the circumference of the fan. Big thanks to Cooler Master for providing the test sample today. As with all product reviews here on the channel, they're independent and I am not paid by the manufacturer for the content. The cooler comes in at 157mm, and technically that exceeds the manufacturer's spec for the case. But with my vented panel on the NR200 test system here, it does fit. Unfortunately, the glass panel does not stay closed, so that is a no-go. This cooler comes in black or white, and it kind of looks like a dual tower version of the Hyper 212 Halo. The fans, they come attached out of the box. You've got 6 dual loop heat pipes, a nickel plated copper base plate. It's looking pretty good. This is compatible with Intel LGA 115X or LGA 1700. Got the Intel backplate for that. You also have AM4, AM5. One thing I noticed about the AM4 install, it uses these standoffs that thread into the AMD backplate, but it's kind of loose. And then when you go to thread the cooler into the mounting plates, the studs, they come up a little bit short, so you'd have to tip it to one side gently. Then you make sure to engage the threads properly and then apply some significant pressure to the other side to engage the threads there. So I think overall the mounting springs, maybe they're just a little bit too aggressive here, or the studs are too short. Fit is good even on a mini-itx board. It's centered, so there's not a big difference how you mount it. But if you want to have a fan on the RAM side of the board, it will cover your RAM kit, so just make sure you're using a low enough kit. Here I'm using the Corsair LPX kit in the NR200 test system. No issues here, although it is a bit tight against the 24-pin ATX cable. Note to note here, I'm using an ASUS board in my test system, and there's a good amount of room at the top to clear the fans. As with the boards with a more regular socket position like your Gigabyte or MSI boards, whether or not you're going to be able to put fans at the top, it's going to be hit or miss. The unit comes with a splitter cable for 2 fans and the RGB adapter cable, which will connect to your motherboard's 3-pin ARGB header. That'll split the RGB signal up into your 2 fans here. It's a good looking heatsink, but how does it stack up against some other options? Well, I was pretty excited about how this integrates into the NR200, but I was a little bit wary when I saw the Halo fans being spec'd, since my experience is that these are pretty average on a rad or a heatsink, and they spin, they spin slower compared to other fans that are more noise optimized. Here they're 1200 RPM compared to the U12A's NFA 12x25s, which go up to 1500 RPM. Of course, the U12A, it's not dual tower, but it's one of the best performing air coolers that you can fit into the NR200 without modifications. It's my reference grade cooler. Testing with the 5800X at a moderate noise level, about 1.8 decibels above the noise floor. It goes toe-to-toe with the Fuma 2. And it is ahead of the D12L. So if you're okay bumping up the fan RPMs a bit, the unit actually then beats out the Fuma 2 at the moderate high RPM level. And although it's still behind the U12A, this is a solid performance here. So how much performance are you sacrificing for the looks of the Halos? Well, if you put the Noctuas on the heatsink and run at the same RPM, there's a 3.2 degree improvement. So for sure, these fans are holding back the overall performance, but is it worth it? That's up to you. Finally, if you want to max out the fan RPMs here, they go up to 2050. They match the noise from the Fuma 2, and it outperforms that. So there's definitely some headroom here with this cooler. I do like the looks, but I also think it would be really neat if CM went ahead and equipped a heatsink like this with their Mobius 120 fans. That's their more performance-oriented fans, and that would be one heck of a serious cooler. So yeah, this one is quite good looking. I know a lot of you have done white builds in the white NR200. Also, you've got the the colored NR200 series here that this could fit well into. So this one seems made for that type of aesthetically oriented build without sacrificing too much performance. You do also have black, and I think both of these are going to look great. So the performance is good. It's as good or better than the Scythe Fuma 2. It's not going to catch the U12A, but for plenty of CPUs, this is going to be perfectly fine, spot-on type of cooler. You could pair this with your Ryzen 5 7600X, the 7700X, Intel 13600K. This would be a great cooler for those CPUs. Subjectively, there's more going on here in the looks department when you compare to the Fuma 2, but it's also going to come down to cost. I am told that the MSRP for the cooler is going to come in at $70 US, and I think that's quite reasonable given the competition and what you're getting here. Figure that, your D12L from Noctua, it's probably going to be higher, more expensive than this one. Fuma 2 is going to be less. I think given its competition and that this one is a bit more aesthetically focused, with two ARGB fans, the pricing, it's mostly fair. So you have one of the best looking dual towers for your NR200. I'll leave the links down below when they are available. Please give a like. We're going to be taking the show on the road, and I'll be heading to Taipei, visiting some friends of the channel, and we'll be at Computex, some other cool content coming your way. So please subscribe to get all the updates, and I'll see you on the road.